My name is Lorie Foster. I turned 38 today. The party was at my parents' house in Memphis. Their backyard buzzed with family laughter and smoke from the grill. A chocolate cake gleamed on the table, white icing curling my name across it. My sister Lindsay had baked it herself, her smile too wide, too perfect. We'd always been polite rivals. Ever since Mom made her the golden one, everyone clapped as the candles flickered. Then my 11-year-old son grabbed my hand. His grip was tight, his face pale. "Don't eat the cake," he whispered. The air went cold around me. I smiled for show, but my heart thundered against my ribs. Barry, my husband, watched, confused. 30 minutes later, a knock hit the door. Police stood outside, their faces grave. Have you ever faced something like this? Tell me in the comments. The cake wasn't dessert. It was a setup. Mom's dining room was packed that night, the smell of barbecue and cornbread thick in the air. Everyone talked over each other, laughter echoing off the walls. It looked like a celebration, but it didn't feel like one. Not to me. Growing up in Memphis, I'd always been the other daughter. Lindsay was the golden one, the dancer, the favorite, the one Mom bragged about. When I won my first spelling bee, Mom barely looked up from her magazine. But when Lindsay placed second in a dance recital, Mom threw her a party. I remember clapping along, pretending it didn't burn inside. By high school, I stopped trying to impress her. I got a job, built a career, and started my own family. But the comparisons never stopped. Lindsay's name always came first, even in conversations about my success. When I joined real estate, I worked twice as hard just to be seen. Now, years later, I was the top seller at our firm. Lindsay worked there too, but she hovered in my shadow like a storm waiting to break. And I could feel her resentment every time I closed a deal. Mom didn't help. She'd smile at Lindsay, proud and glowing, then glance at me like I'd taken something that wasn't mine. Maybe that's why the knot in my stomach started before the party even began. When Lindsay brought out that perfect cake, I told myself I was imagining things, that she'd changed. But the look she shared with Mom across the table, that quick nod, brought back every time they'd teamed up against me. Every time I'd been told to be the bigger person, now sitting there under the birthday lights, watching them smile, I felt 10 years old again, small, unseen, and foolish enough to believe they'd ever clap for me. But this time, I wasn't that little girl anymore. And I was done pretending not to notice the poison behind their smiles. After that night, the ache from old wounds didn't fade, it sharpened. I learned to wear calm like armor. At work, I smiled through meetings, closed deals, and kept my head high. But inside, I was bracing. The developer contract was coming, a once-in-a-career opportunity. Lindsay and I were both in the running. Only one of us would lead the pitch. I'd been preparing for weeks, working late after Miles fell asleep, slides glowing on my laptop while Barry brewed coffee. Every chart, every figure, perfect. I wasn't just chasing success. I was fighting for my place. Lindsay stayed quiet about it. Too quiet. Her smiles at the office were soft but strained. She complimented my blouse, offered to help with my presentation, and laughed too easily when I declined. I'd seen that performance before, the calm before the sabotage. Still, I wanted to believe she'd grown, that maybe we'd turned a corner. But deep down, I knew better. Old patterns don't die. They hide. The week before my birthday, Mom invited me over for dinner. Said she wanted to celebrate early. When I arrived, Lindsay was already there. 2 glasses of wine in, their laughter stopped when I walked in. Mom's tone shifted, light and sweet. "We're so proud of you, honey," she said, her smile just a little too practiced. I thanked her, but the warmth didn't reach my chest. As I drove home that night, I couldn't shake the feeling they were planning something. I told Barry, but he shrugged it off. They wouldn't risk that, not family. I nodded, pretending to agree. but he hadn't seen the things I had. Still, I focused on what mattered. My work. My son. The life I'd built outside of their shadow. When the numbers from my last quarter came in, highest in the firm, I took Miles for ice cream. He said, "Mom, you're going to win that contract." I smiled at him, proud and afraid all at once. He believed in me. I couldn't let anyone take that from him. By the time my birthday arrived, I thought I was ready for anything. I thought I'd learned to handle their jealousy, to keep my distance when things turned sour. But when I saw the way Mom looked at Lindsay across that dinner table, a silent nod, a knowing smile, the old unease returned. Like a ghost whispering, "Not again." Still, I brushed it off. I laughed at jokes, passed around cornbread, pretended this was just another family dinner. But when Miles leaned close and whispered those 4 words, "Don't eat the cake," the truth I'd been ignoring slammed into me. They weren't done competing. They were just playing a darker game. Miles's whisper still echoed in my head, cold and certain. "Don't eat the cake." I smiled for the room, but inside, every muscle tightened. Something was wrong, and my son had seen it first. I pulled him into the hallway, heart pounding. He clutched his phone, shaking. "Mom, I heard something," he said, eyes wide with fear. He fumbled with the screen, pressed play. The voice was faint but clear. Lindsay's whisper. "This melatonin will knock them out till noon. Lorie won't make that meeting. I'll get the contract." Then Mom's calm reply. "Just enough to make them sleep, honey." She's had her turn. My stomach twisted. The cake. The real estate deal. It all connected. They wanted me out, literally. If we ate it, we'd sleep through my meeting, handing Lindsay the win. I forced my breathing steady. Miles looked up, terrified. "You did good," I whispered. "Stay quiet for now." He nodded, slipping his phone away. I walked back to the table, face calm, mind racing. Barry was reaching for the cake knife. "Barry, wait," I said. "Maybe too sharp." He paused. I smiled, forced, pretending to grab napkins. In the kitchen, I leaned close. "Don't eat the cake," I whispered. "Something's wrong with it." He frowned, but trusted me enough to stop asking. Back at the table, I knocked over his plate. A clumsy distraction. Lindsay's smile faltered for half a second. Not long, but enough. Robin, my friend from work, caught my eye from across the room. I tilted my head. Silent signal, watch them. She moved closer to the dessert table, chatting casually, but her gaze stayed fixed on Lindsay. Text buzzed under the table. "Miles. They said it this morning. Mom told her to use more." I swallowed hard. "They'd planned this hours ago." I typed back, "Stay calm, I've got this." Lindsay was still hovering near the cake, touching the platter, adjusting candles like stalling for time. Mom drifted behind her, offering punch, smiling too much. They were waiting for me to cut it. I stood. "Lindsay," I said lightly, "you spent a lot of time on this cake. What's in it?" She froze. Then laughed, shrill and forced. "Just chocolate, your favorite." "Why?" Mom jumped in fast. "Lorie, don't start. Your sister worked hard. Don't ruin your own party." Same tone she'd used all my life. Protecting Lindsay. Dismissing me. I kept my smile steady. "Wouldn't want anyone getting sick." Lindsay turned away, but I saw her fingers twitch. Miles shifted in his chair. Then his small voice broke the noise. "You shouldn't eat the cake," he said. "It's not safe." The room froze. Every laugh died. Barry looked at me confused. Mom's smile vanished. Lindsay's face drained of color. Then, a knock at the door. Loud, sharp. Police. And in that instant, Every fake smile in the room shattered. The officers stepped inside, their boots heavy on Mom's polished floor. Every sound in the house vanished, just breathing and fear. "Evening, ma'am," one said. "We got a call about food tampering." I nodded, my voice even. "Yes, officer, that cake." All eyes turned to it. White icing, perfect candles. The smiley centerpiece of my family's lie. Lindsay froze beside the table. Her voice wavered. "It's just a cake, nothing special." Mom jumped in too quickly. "She made it with love." "There's no need for this." Her tone cracked on love. Before I could speak, Miles stood up, his chair scraping. "I called too," he said, his voice trembling but steady. "I heard my aunt say she put something in it to make my mom sleep." Lindsay's eyes widened. Mom's hand shot out, grabbing her arm. "Enough, Miles," she snapped. But the officers had heard enough. "Ma'am," one said, "we'll need to take that cake for testing." He lifted the platter carefully, sealed it in a bag. Lindsay's face went pale, her voice thin. "This is ridiculous," Mom stammered, trying to hold her ground. "My grandson's confused." "There's nothing wrong." No one believed her. Not after that tone. Not after the silence that followed. When the door closed behind the officers, the air collapsed. Lindsay's shoulders slumped. Mom stood still, her hands twisting the edge of a dish towel. I turned to my sister. "Lindsay, what did you put in it?" Her lips trembled. A whisper escaped. "Melatonin, just a little. You'd sleep through your meeting." I just wanted a chance. Her eyes filled, but I felt nothing but ice. Mom spoke up, desperate. "It wasn't supposed to hurt anyone." I told her it was harmless, just a sleep aid. Her words stumbled, pleading for sympathy. "You've had your chances, Lorie. It was time to be fair." Fair. That word again. The same word she'd used when she gave Lindsay my prom dress, my spotlight, my mother's love. I straightened my back. "Drugging your family isn't fair," I said. "It's betrayal." Robin stepped from the corner, voice calm, unwavering. "I saw her," she said. "She hovered around that cake all night." "I'll tell the police the same." Lindsay sank onto the couch, hands over her face. Mom just stood there, silent, small for the first time in her life. Barry came to my side, his voice low. "You okay?" I nodded. Miles gripped my hand tight. The truth had finally landed, heavy and undeniable. They hadn't just tried to ruin my career, they'd tried to drug me into silence. I looked at them one last time, my voice steady. "You wanted me asleep. But I'm wide awake now, and this time, I was the one holding the knife, not to cut cake, but to sever the past for good." When the door shut behind them, the house fell silent. Just the hum of the fridge, and the sound of my heartbeat slowing down. Lindsay and Mom were gone. The police had taken the cake, and I finally took back my peace. Barry wrapped an arm around me, steady, solid. "You did what you had to," he said. I nodded, but the ache ran deep. Miles slipped his small hand into mine. "I'm proud of you, Mom." That simple sentence meant more than any apology ever could. Weeks passed before I heard from Mom again. Texts, voicemails. "Let's talk, Lorie, please." I deleted every one. Because forgiveness doesn't mean walking back into fire. 3 months later, I signed the developer contract. Promotion sealed. My name on the plaque they once said I didn't deserve. Barry and Miles waited outside the office, with flowers and pizza. My real family, the one that showed up. At dinner, Miles grinned, sauce on his chin. Barry raised his glass. "To Lorie, the toughest woman I know." I laughed, feeling the weight lift, bit by bit. Mom texted again that night. "Please, just one conversation." I turned the phone over, looked at my husband and son, and smiled. I already had everything I needed. Sometimes family isn't blood. It's the ones who hold your hand when everyone else lets go. And sometimes walking away is the only way to save yourself. If you've been through this, you're not alone. Drop a comment, share your story. Someone out there needs to hear it. Because healing isn't quiet revenge, it's living free and never letting them write your ending again.